The last class we discussed about what you mean by a parallelogram law and what you mean by a triangle law, and how you are going to use this parallelogram law and triangle laws in different conditions, right? So you know that this parallelogram law and triangle law is applicable only if there are two forces, and of course this two force should be a concurrent force, right? It should be a concurrent force. So now the question is what happens, how to solve a problem if we have more than two forces? We go for resolution of forces, right? So resolution of forces, what it means, right? Instead of a parallelogram, I will consider it as a rectangle, right? So I have two forces, right? So something like this. So I have two forces now. So one is horizontally, which is, let me consider P as like parallelogram law, and other one is vertical, which is Q, right? So according to parallelogram law of vectors, the resultant is always what? What is the resultant? Can you tell me what is the resultant?
Root of p square plus q square.
Yeah, so
It's a
resultant is root
diagonal.
of, yeah, that is also right. So it should be in the diagonal, right? Which is root of p square plus q square plus 2pq plus theta. Right, this is the formula. Now, instead of a parallelogram, I consider this as a rectangle. In that case, your theta, your theta is nothing but 90 degree, right? When I apply theta as 90 degree, I will get resultant is equal to root of p square plus q square. Okay. So what my aim is, any force, any inclined force, if I have, I am going to make that as two forces. So there is a single force that I am going to split it into two. So usually in parallelogram, what you do, you have two forces, you will make it as one. That is what we call it as a resultant, right? Here it is vice versa. I am going to have a single force. It may be a resultant force. I am going to split that into two, right? So all the forces, I am going to convert it into two forces, one in horizontal direction, other in the vertical direction, right? If I do so, what happens is there will be a set of forces in horizontal direction, right? So how that forces are? It is collinear, right? All that forces are collinear. When you have a collinear force, what you can do? You can add, right? We can add all that forces. Similarly, in vertical also, all the forces will be meeting in this line. So which is a collinear force. So in that case, I can add all that force, right? So once we add all these things, I will get again two forces, right? Which I will call it as sigma P or sigma Q, right? So sigma P is with respect to x-axis and sigma Q is with respect to y-axis, right? These two forces, right? Again, I can combine it and I can make it as a single force, right? So the process is splitting the forces into two, adding it, again I am combining it so that you will get as a single force, right? So to do that, we have this resolution of forces. So resolution of forces is just opposite to what we are discussed, right? If you have a force F, right? Um, I'm going to split it into two, right? Let me consider this is my angle theta. So in that case, I will get Fx and I will get Fy, right? To identify this Fx and Fy, I'll consider this as a rectangle, as like a parallelogram, right? So now you can able to see that you have a triangle, right? You have a triangle, something like this. Of course, it's a right angle triangle with F as a hypotenuse and theta as your angle. So what will be your Fx?
F cos theta.
Yeah, Fx is F cos theta. What about your Fy?
F sin theta, sir.
Fy is f sine theta. So I will get two forces now, right? So when I do that, I can able to get f cos theta and f sine theta, right? So this is how I can split it, right? But it is somewhat difficult to identify this, right? There will be a little bit confusion. So what happens if the angle is different, right? So for example, if I consider this as phi, right? Forget about this one, right? Forget about this one. You have this phi, okay? In that case, what is your fx? Can anyone? And what is your fx?
F sin theta, sir, fx. It's
Fx is
is a f sin phi.
f sine phi. Yeah, very good. Fy is f
F
cos phi,
cos phi.
right? So I think few of you will get confused, right? Why this is changing? Because it is with respect to y-axis now. So and it is also difficult to identify this value. So whether it is cos or sine. So whenever I identify, I will get f cos theta and f sine theta. So it is also applicable when it is inclined. So make a rectangle based on that, and you can make it again. Again, you will get same f cos theta and f sine theta. If it is alpha, then it is opposite, right? What we discussed, it will be f sine alpha and fy is equal to f cos alpha, right? So this can also be written in your vector form. So whenever if you have a force in x-axis, I will consider that as I vector. Whenever you have a force in y-axis, we consider that as j vector, right? In that case, I can write it like this. Fx will be fx I vector and fy will be fy j vector. So any force, I can write it as fx I vector plus fy j vector, right? So as I told you, so this term, we can use it only in 3 dimensions. So 2D, you no need to do that because there is not much problem in this, right? Only in 3D, we will be applying these things, right? Fx cos theta, so fx I vector and j vector. We'll be writing in vector forms, right? Whereas in 2D, you no need to identify. So there is other way. So I think some of you will have confusion. So why you are getting cos here, why you are getting sine here? It because of this angle, right? To identify that easily. So bring this f to x coordinate. I consider only this theta and not this alpha, right? Or let me consider both, whatever it is. What happens to a theta when I bring this f to x coordinate? Yeah, theta becomes 0. Very good. So or I can say that theta is decreasing, right? Theta is decreasing. What happens to your alpha?
90 degrees.
It is 90 degree, which means alpha is increasing, right? So easily I can say that whenever you have angle decreasing, you put it as cos. Whenever your angle is increasing, you put it as sine, right? In that case, fx I can write as f cos theta or f sine alpha. Both are same, right? Similarly, if I can say fy, bring this f to y, bring this f to y. Your alpha is decreasing. Since your alpha is decreasing, I will get f cos alpha. If I bring this to y, your theta is increasing. Since your theta is increasing, it is f sin theta. Any doubt in this?
No, sir.
Yeah. So this is one way to easily identify, right? To identify what will be the values, right? What whether it's your cos or sine, you can find out accordingly, right? Okay, we'll proceed to the next one. So When I identify what is fx and fy, now I will get the resultant, right? As I discussed earlier. So it is also a parallelogram law where your theta is 90° now, right? I'm talking about this overall theta. If it is 90, cos 90 is 0. So we will get resultant as root of sigma fx square plus sigma fy square. So there is a notation sigma indicating that if you have 5 forces, you resolve all that 5 to a force to x-axis, add it. So to add it, I am indicating as sigma. Similarly, if you have 5 forces, resolve that 5 in y-axis, add it. So that is why sigma, right? So R is equal to root of sigma fx square plus sigma fy square. Similarly, tan alpha. Tan alpha is your resultant. So actually, in this diagram, this will be your theta, right? This is your theta, and this is alpha, right? So tan alpha is 90°. So which is fy divided by fx, right? Sigma fy divided by, so adjacent by opposite. So opposite by adjacent side, right? You will get that. Okay. So this is another formula relating this. Okay. Right. Let me consider this problem. Right? How many forces are here? 4. Very good. So I'm going to identify what is the resultant of this particular set of forces. Right? To solve it easily, I'll make a tabulation. Right? So this is, as a first step, we are making this. Later, we will omit this tabulation. We can go directly. So once you are very much familiar with this, we can go directly. So if you feel this is easy, you can follow this also. All right. So I have a tabulation which indicates your force and what happens when you resolve in x-axis and what happens when you resolve in y-axis. Right. So these are the forces. I have F1, F2, F3, and F. Right. So now you have to be very, very keen in looking at the direction also, because since we are dealing with a force, so the direction is also important, right? So how to identify the direction? It is like whenever your force moves in this direction, this is positive. If a force moves in opposite direction, it is negative. Similarly, when your force is moving like this, it is positive. When the force is moving down, like downwards, you'll get negative. It is like your normal quadrant, right? First quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, right? Same procedure, right? So you know that in second quadrant, your x is negative, y is positive. You have to indicate it when you resolve it, right? So that is similar to that. So that's also I have indicated like this, right? Okay. So let me identify one by one. Fx. So first F1. Bring this F1 to x-axis. What happens to your angle? Decreasing. So it is 150 cos 30. If you bring this to y, your angle is increasing. It is going to 90°, right? Your 30° is going to 90°. So it will be 150 sin 30, right? Since this is in first quadrant, I can say that both are positive, right? Or when I resolve it, so when I bring it to x-axis, you will get towards this direction, so positive. When you bring it to y-axis also, it is moving towards this direction, positive, right? Then we go to F2. Bring this F2 to x. What happens to your angle? Increasing or decreasing?
Decreasing.
Decreasing.
Decreasing, sir.
Increasing. So this is my x-axis. When I move my angle to x-axis, so when I move my force to x-axis, your 20° will become 90°, right? So it is increasing. So when it increases, I have to put sine, right? I have to put sine. Note that this force force in this direction, right? This force is in this direction, which means it is minus. So minus 80 sine 20 degree. So bring it to y. Bring it to y. Your force, your angle is decreasing, so it is the cos. It is positive y-axis, so it is 80 cos 20. Right? Then we proceed to F3. What about F3? What about F3? It is already in y-axis, so no need to resolve on that, right? No need to resolve this F3 because it is already in y-axis. Which axis? Negative y-axis, right? So it is minus 110. So this will be 0 and this will be minus 1. In y, it is minus 110. Right? So no need to worry. So it is applicable, the resolution is applicable only for inclined forces, not for direct x or y axes. Right? Okay, F4, bring it to x. Your angle is decreasing, right?
Plus.
So which means cos plus 100 cos 15. Bring this to y. Bring this to y.
Minus sine.
So it is minus sine 115. For that, I am not bringing this to this y. I am bringing it to this y, right? It should be what I can say. It is bounded in 90 degree, right? It is bounded in 90 degree. You can't move more than 90 degree, right? Make sure accordingly. So don't bring this to this way, right? It is on this particular quadrant, right? So this is my forces. Now I got sets of forces now, right? Only thing is I have to add all these forces, right? When I add this, so 150 cos 30. So you can type it in the calculator. So 150 cos 30 minus 80 sin 20 plus 100 cos 15. You get overall 190. So 199. Similarly, when you add all these things, you will get 14.29. Note, what is the summation of this? It's a positive value. So which means sigma fx is a positive value. What about this? That is also a positive value. Sigma fy is also a positive value. So if x and y both are positive, which quadrant is your resultant? So it is in the first quadrant, right? So your resultant, I can identify root of sigma fx square plus sigma fy square. I'll identify what is your resultant, right? Then angle of the resultant, sigma fy divided by sigma fx, I'll get what is the angle. Now, since both are in positive, it is first quadrant with respect to x-axis, it is 4.104 degree. So let me consider here. So they're asking you to identify the resultant for this particular problem. There is no angle. There is no angle. How to identify the angle? Right?
Sir, by
How to
using the
identify this angle?
dimensions.
Yeah, very good. So there are given a set of dimensions. We can use this dimension to find out the angle, right? So let me put it here just for reference. Now I will write down, right, what happens here, right? So if I want this angle, if I consider this as θ1, right, this θ1 will be equal to, so you consider it like this triangle. You can able to see this as a triangle, right? So you can able to see this as a triangle, right? This triangle is having a base of 800 and other one is 600. So what will be your angle? θ1. θ1 is nothing but tan inverse of opposite by adjacent side, 600 by 800. Right? What will be the value of θ1? Can identify. Right? Similarly, this one, if I consider this as θ2, so your θ2 will be equal to tan inverse of 900 by 560. So 900 divided by 560. is another term. Similarly, I will also identify this one, which is theta 3. So theta 3 is again is equal to tan inverse of, right? So opposite side, which is your opposite side? This one is opposite side, right? So this is my angle theta. So this is my opposite side, which is 900 divided by 480. Right? What is the values of these three things? So theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3. So I need to tell you some shortcuts where you can able to easily do it in your calculator, right? So let me take a screenshot of this 991 ms, right? I think most of you are using that, right? Let me take that. Can you able to see the calculator? The thing is, you have such a formula, all are repeating, right? Everything is tan inverse of something, right? It is, you can write this, you can make this as a formula. You can make this as a formula. So for that, what I can do is, I can go to first, I will go to shift plus tan, right? Shift plus tan. So this one, so I can go to this one first, shift plus tan. So what I'll get, I'll get tan inverse, right? So that's my first step, right? Then I can open a bracket. I can open a bracket. Then I'll go for new concept. I'll go for alpha, right? Alpha. Once I press alpha, then I'll go to A. A is here, so just minus, right? So minus. So I can able to get A in your calculator, right? Then divide it, then use division symbol. Use division symbol. Then again, I will proceed with the same, right? Alpha, alpha plus, right? Now I'll go for B, which is, I think it will be having this something like this. Yep. So now your formula will be like this: tan inverse of A by B. Are you getting like this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what is A? A represents your top value, numerator, and B represents your denominator. So this is numerator and B is your denominator, right? So what you can do is press calc button. So the last step, you press calc button, right? If I press calc button, right, it will ask you what is your A value, question mark, right? So I just enter it as 600, press equal to, it will ask what is your B value, type it as 800, and then press equal to. You will get your answer for theta 1. If you press equal to again it will ask you what is your A value and what is your B value. It will be repeated, right? So this way you can complete this, not need to type it again and again. So you can complete it in one step, theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3. Are you getting it? If you don't have any doubt, you can tell me what is the answer for theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3.
Sir, theta 1 is 36.869, sir.
36.86.
869, sir.
Okay, very good.
Theta 2 is 58.108, 109, sir.
101, very good.
109, sir.
Yeah, 58.101.
Theta 3 is 61.927, sir.
60.
61.927.
947. Yeah, very good.
927,
Thank you.
sir.
927. Okay. So hope everyone is having the same value. You are getting the same value, right? So this is the method. You can also identify for this cast. So in the table, so if I identify everything in terms of cast, you can identify that one by one, right? Without any delay, right? So that you can complete it very quickly, right? Okay, so now I got all the values, right? Only thing is I have to put a tabulation and I am going to substitute it accordingly, right? Let me draw a table. So what are the forces? So you have 800 Newton force. I will write it here. So 800 Newton. The angle of the force, I will also mention it, right? The angle of this 800 Newton force is 36.86. 36.86. Bracket, I will mention with respect to x-axis. Just for information. I no need to mention it here. So actually, I have to put a symbol like this. So here, what I have to do is I have to put a symbol. So like, for example, I have to mark it like this, right? So your angle is like this. I have to mark it like this. So since it is difficult, I will put it as this x-axis, right? 424 Newton. 424 Newton force. Enter it so that I will get some space. And the next one is 408 Newton. 408 Newton. The last one is summation, right? Summation of forces. Okay. So this is my sets, right? I have the sets accordingly. Okay, now I will write it out. So this angle, right? I will mention it here. So this is like this, right? So that is also with respect to horizontal. Theta 2, right? This angle is 58.101 degree. And the last one, you have like this. Right? This angle is 61.927. So all are with respect to horizontal. So with respect to x-axis, right? So all are with respect to x-axis. So when I bring it to x-axis, what happens in all the forces, whatever it is, in all the forces, if I bring it to x-axis, your angle will decrease. So in that case, it will be cos. So this one will be 800. Yeah. So this one will be 800 cos 36.86. This is minus 424. So why you are putting minus here? Because it is in
Negative x direction, sir.
yeah, you have a negative x-axis, so it is minus. So it is cos 58.101 degree, and this one 408
Sine.
cos. No, everything is cos. Everything is with respect to x-axis. Bring it to x, right? 61.92 degree, right? So when I go for y, so in the cos now opposite, it will be sine here. So here it will be 800 sine 36.86. Here it will be, bring this to y, we have a negative y, right? So minus 424 sine 58.101, and this will be again, bring it to y, you will get a negative y, so minus 408 sine 61.927 degree, right? So you got all the values. Find out what is your sigma fx and sigma fy. So 608 Newton. What about fy? Minus 240. Yeah. So fy is minus 240. So now your x is positive and your y is negative. Which quadrant is this?
Fourth, sir.
This is in fourth quadrant, right? This is something like this, right? Now, I will go for the final formula. You have to identify what is the resultant. So resultant R is equal to root of sigma fx square plus sigma fy square, right? It's equal to root of 608 the whole square plus 240 the whole square. No need to worry about negative because that will become positive, right? Type it in your chat box. What is your resultant? 653.66, right? Resultant is 653.66 Newton. Next, I have to look after the direction. So direction is alpha, which is equal to tan inverse of sigma fy divided by sigma fx, right? So again, no need to worry about the negative signs. Directly write as Q40 divided by 608. Because we already identified the quadrant, right? No need to worry about that negative sign. Yeah, 21.337 degree. Okay. So now I got what is my answer. So my answer resultant is equal to 653.66 Newton. And your quadrant is like this, right? 21.37 degree. So this is my answer.